to be able to bring to you Corey Clipston. Corey Clipston is with us today. And guys, Corey has worked with and for some of the largest tech companies in the entire universe. All right. He's invested in dozens of technology startups. He's raised money for dozens of more. I consider him a serial entrepreneur. I don't know if he'll say that about himself, but more important than all of this, guys, is the fact that for me, at least, Corey is the co-founder and CEO of Swan Bitcoin. Now, as many of you know, I'm a huge supporter of Swan. I've been a client for slightly more than 1 year, and I cannot offer enough praise about the service I've received and the personal touch the firm has provided me over that entire year. It's been amazing. And I'm not only pleased, but I'm incredibly honored to be able to speak directly to him in front of you today. Would like to present to you Corey Clipston. Corey, I want to thank you. Corey, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hey, mucho gusto, Oliver. Nice to see you.
Fantastic. You're breaking out the Spanish too.
Yeah.
You know, Corey, I have watched literally every single YouTube video, public talk, interview, podcast you've done. I feel like you're my brother from another mother. This talk of ours is taking place in a private setting, specifically for the members of my Bitcoin club. Now, we are a little more than 3,400 members strong. These members are all Bitcoiners, okay? They span many different countries, but the vast majority of them speak one of three languages. That's English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So for that reason, our talk today is actually being simultaneously translated in all three of those languages. Now, once we're finished with this talk, those three versions of our talk will be uploaded to one of three of my YouTube channels. I have a YouTube channel for English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and I hope to be able to share what we share with my audience here today to the entire world. All right, is that okay? I just think you have one of the most interesting upbringings I've heard. If I'm not mistaken, you didn't start public school until you were 9 years old or something like that.
Fifth grade, yeah.
Fifth grade. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, man. So yeah, my parents were from fairly traditional backgrounds, I guess, in the Midwest originally, but like a lot of people in the 60s and 70s in the counterculture movement, California was calling. And, they both found their way to San Francisco. I think my dad was in LA first and then came up to SF. And they met, in Haight-Ashbury and kind of the spiritual seeking scene. And, I was actually raised in sort of like bouncing back and forth between Marin County and way up north in Lake County, which is you have to go through Napa and Sonoma to get to Lake County, right, in Northern Cali. And, very sort of hippie. We had like this big sanctuary up there where it was like, farm animals and trees and lakes, wow, and all this kind of crazy stuff way up in Northern Cali. So I spent about 4 years way up north and about 4 years in Marin. And, at some point they just decided to bounce and head up to Seattle and kind of disassociate from that whole scene and kind of go mainstream again. This is like a Kansas University grad and a Western Illinois grad, and they were just kind of done with it. And, it's like the mid 80s. And I got kind of thrust into mainstream society. So I laugh a lot and I love international audiences.
When you were at Google, did you run into coworkers, colleagues that had a deep interest in Bitcoin?
Mm-mm.
I mean, we're talking,
Not at all.
It was early days.
Yeah, 2011 to 2013. It's in my email in 2012, but I don't remember reading it. And so, really the first time, I was seeing headlines here and there, but none of them made an impression.
I was the same way.
Same way. Yeah. So, I kind of remember there was like Silk Road and some Bitcoin stuff or whatever, but I was just so heads down, jumping into tech full time. And I was living in LA, but trying to network into Silicon Valley, which meant that I was up there 3-4 days a week. A lot of day trips on Surf Air and Southwest, just going up for the day and just networking and trying to like plug into the Silicon Valley ecosystem. And yeah, it wasn't until I remember it was January 29th of 2014. I was at a tech conference actually in LA, and somebody was handing out $50 worth of Bitcoin if you downloaded a blockchain wallet. And that was the first time that I talked about it a little bit and thought about it a little bit, but it didn't take. I lost the wallet, didn't do anything about it. That was strike one. Strike two was Christmas of 2015. I was at a friend's kind of like overnight holiday party / weekend up in Santa Barbara. And I helped him. He had packaged together like 8 of his startup stakes into a Series LLC that he wanted to sell half of it. So I said, you know, I'll help you create the deck and the pitch for that in exchange for some of the proceeds. And 2 of the companies, you know, one was frickin' Ripple, and the other one was like Balaji's, you know, toaster mining company, 21.co, which became the, you know, shitcoin education at Coinbase.
Wow.
And you know, so neither of those caught my attention and made me excited about Bitcoin because it was looking at it through the wrong lens. So yeah, it wasn't until all the noise of the price run up in spring of 2017, that's finally what got me. It was just, you know, all the enthusiasm that was just cacophonous, and that finally drew me in.
All right, let's switch gears for a bit here. Let's talk about Swan Bitcoin here. Now,
I love Swan Bitcoin.
I love it too. Listen, Swan connected with me for 2 reasons, Corey. First, it was I'd already been orange pilled in Bitcoin. I was just 100% Bitcoin, and so the fact that Swan was Bitcoin only company, that there was nothing else, there wasn't even a sell button. And it was that just blew me away. The fact that it's Bitcoin only without a sell button, and you had me at the no sell button. that was the first reason that it truly connected with me. And the second reason is that it was an education first company as well. Like the educational side of Swan touched me deeply because it resonated with the approach I took in my space all the way back in 1994. I believed that if I took an educational bent toward my space, I was a professional trader on Wall Street, and I felt like if I became an educational company first and a trading company second, that I believe that the educator will always receive the greatest degree of loyalty and appreciation. And I kind of saw a little bit of that model in Swan Bitcoin, and you had me,
Well, I appreciate it, man. You know, selfishly for you and for me, like the other thing, you know, is if you want to learn something, try to teach it.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know, so my diamond hands have been
become more diamond through your teaching and education. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
we always